Out of 4 Office of the Special Prosecutor, see Ameno Kasano was answered Chinipa Baku 5. Mwambeka SML contract na to say to see an OSP or train amount for senior Basano government former government officials no 3 no to see an say 5 above account to see on my 3 billion 8 to see an OSP Office of the Special Prosecutor was answered Chinipa Baku 5 aka SML contract no to see an 3 billion to see an 5 above account on my 8 or for my call 9 and same way in Ghanatube near this year.
Contractual arrangements between Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited and the Ghana Revenue Authority for the stated objective of the enhancement of revenue assurance in the downstream petroleum sector, upstream petroleum production, and minerals and metals resources value chain. 2. Termination of a distribution, loss reduction, and associated network improvement project contract between the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited and Beijing Zhaochen Technology BXC. 3. Procurement of contractors and materials and activities and payments in respect of the National Cathedral project. 4. Activities and payments in respect of a contract awarded by the Ministry of Health, initially commenced by the Ministry for Special Development Initiatives, to Service Ghana Auto Group Limited for purchases and after-sales service and maintenance of 307 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 305 CDI ambulances for the National Ambulance Service.
It's not a legal consultant to us, and some of them having
of contractors and material 305 CDI ambulance
who were arrested this week by the special prosecutor. Let's put them on the screen right now. These are a former Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Reverend Dr. Amishadai Osuamwa, and then also we have Dr. Isaac Krenzel and Christian Tetesoti, both former top officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Reverend Dr. Amishadai Osuamwa was a former Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority. These were the first 3 who were arrested. And then to some.
Out of what in seminar in your Beman or kind of say, some for 3 weeks, and at a former GRA boss, any 2 others arrested over SML contracts. Out of 4, if your screen is so at most any pattern no more, former GRA boss, any 2 other people. Among my first 3 are OSP. Oye the Ochiomo to see an OSP as answer the Nipa Baku 5 as an account the same contract we have. You see Nipa Baku 5 as an account to see an Omakwa 8. Fresh case I see a better one in a bro. I will Ghanatube for my uncle 9 and 7 this year.
Of them granted bail. And then later we got to know that after these persons were arrested, there were additional persons as well. Ivan Sedusei, Chief Executive Officer of SML, Ivan Sedusei, and then one Philip Mensah, a former Deputy Commissioner in charge of legal at the Ghana Revenue Authority, is now a legal consultant to SML, and Kofi Nti, also a former Commissioner General, and Joseph Kuruk, Public Procurement Authority official, and together with Faustina Ajoko as well. And all we saw with this particular SML deal, as we do know, the number of infractions that the KPMG report even reported or captured. We don't have the full complement of the reports, but we know that the highlights that were released sometime last year was even pregnant with so much detail. It got a lot of us thinking and concerned. If you look at the evolution of this contract, right from the period when, according to the KPMG report, SML changed from SMEL, which was to provide transaction audit service. On the 22nd of November 2017, they changed their names to SML. Fast forward, GRA extended the transaction audit with SML. SML then transitioned to become the main contractor without, take note, without Public Procurement Authority approval on the 1st of January. This was 2019. Fast forward, we saw how it all played out. They didn't even have parliamentary approval based on what the KPMG report said. There was no needs assessment made as to exactly what was needed and why this was being engaged. According to the KPMG report, even the rationale for the procurement was made without any needs assessment. The SML provision of services was also without a public procurement authority approval. The contracting of the SML was without GRA board's consideration and approval. There was no deduction of VAT by GRA for an 8-month period on payments to SML, which resulted in the loss of over 13.38 million Ghana cedis. That's financial loss to the state, essentially. And this was a period between 1st September 2020 and 30th April 2021. And then all of this, according to the KPMG report, all these laws, they said they identified potential breaches. The 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, GRA Act, Public Financial Management Act, National Procurement Authority Act, National also Value Added Tax, Public Financial Management, Petroleum Commission Act, Minerals Commission, Precious Mineral Marketing Company Act 200-461, Ghana Standards Authority Act 2022. All these said as potential breaches that the SML contract captures. I mean, here this week, this action by the special prosecutor, these 8 persons who were picked up, and I mean, you look at their profile, former Commissioner General, Deputy Commissioner, all these persons involved based on the OSP's arrests and how this case has evolved till this point, where we've seen some of these persons, top echelons of the GRA also being picked up within the week. How do you see things playing out? Very quickly.
Oh, well, it's the right thing to happen, right? Finally, at least finally, there's some accountability. Because, you know, Mr. Council, when this story broke, right, in the previous administration, you know that because Akufo-Addo was in the business of clearing agent, he quickly got KPMG to do this audit. You know that KPMG had been quite charitable to Akufo-Addo. You remember a lot of civil society organizations said, no, KPMG shouldn't do this job because it had too many government contracts, was too close to Akufo-Addo's regime. They did it, and even you see with KPMG, so we saw a lot of bad stuff going on. Of course, if we had a more independent audit firm, we expected that the results would have been worse. So the key thing is that it's good that the OSP is also, you know, finally coming up to speed to some extent on this matter, right? Because you know that OSP was being gagged. You remember the Kisile Jabin famous Ankwanuma press conference where he kept asking Ghanaians, are you ready to fight corruption? Are you ready to fight corruption? Are you ready to fight corruption? Right? Yes, he did well, but he stopped short. He didn't match up to Martin Amidu, who could specifically call out Akufo-Addo's henchmen who were gagging him and frustrating him. And that's one thing I consistently remind Kisile Jabin that he has to do. Look, sometimes this fight, if you know, when you do, he who fights and runs lives to fight another day, they may not be that other day. You see that though Martin Amidu didn't stay in that office for long, you know that when he came to the famous Ejapa deal, he called out names. He mentioned how the president and Ufuriata tried to interfere in his work. Of course, he should have stayed on. The fact that Amidu says Akufo-Addo asked him to give Ufuriata a hearing shouldn't have been enough for Amidu to resign. But that's the kind of examples we want Kisile Jabin to live up to. Yes, Martin Amidu didn't stay long enough to do court cases like his Kisile Jabin was doing. But when Amidu had the opportunity, he was very clear. He was clear. He named and shamed people who tried to interfere. The only time I've seen Kisile Jabin come close is what he did to Professor Jampo. That Jampo had contacted him. But that one wasn't sufficient. Kisile Jabin, you know very well how Akufo-Addo's ministers and government appointees came to you. You never reveal those people. But Jampo, like they say, Koto, the Nobodre, right? So Jampo deserves to be named. But when what do you call it? Ekufuado's henchmen and even Ekufuado himself was frustrating. You weren't bold enough to name them. But now you would want to name Jampo. I looked at it and I laughed. I said, what? Jampo's communication with Kissi Ejabin didn't go far enough to merit what happened. The people who sought you, even look, if you take the NDA case, the NDA case, Kissi Ejabin slapped the people with soft offenses.
Why do you say soft?
Yes, the initial, just the procurement offenses. It was Isidore Tufo.
But is that matter still running in court?
Yes, they've opened their defense. So Isidore came in, reviewed it, and now ratcheted up the offenses to proper corruption offenses. This was plainly soft. Look, if you put for those friend, Napaga Tia Clara Sulemana, because of her closeness with Kufuado, she was in charge. The main person, this NDA case, Napaga Tia Clara Sulemana, she had to approve. The final madam to approve the transaction. How can you charge all the people and left her? We all know that she's close to Kufuado.
I get the fact that I know you were neck deep in this case.
Yes.
Let's redirect back to the SML.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that OSP had been slow. Okay, in coming to SML had been slow, but finally it's okay that they've come because I thought that. You know, in September 2023, they got a lot of employees, right? Parliament approved earlier in the year for them to employ over 200 employees, around 230 something, right? Yes, of course, not everybody would have taken up the position. But with the numbers increase, one would have thought that some of these cases, it would have been, they would have gone much faster because it's now that this what do you call it? Amishada Uso Abuaji and co have been arrested. It looks a bit slow. You have to decentralize. You know, the system itself was too centralized, and it's still too centralized around the OSP. So remember earlier on, I mentioned that look, when petitions go there, it shouldn't be left with Kissi Ejabin alone to look. It should go to a board so that there's transparency. There's transparency because some of these cases, I'm sure if the other directors were put in, like a petition arrives at the OSP, it goes to the whole board, a committee that looks at it, there will be much speed. But where everything is centralized around the OSP, you won't get the desired speed. If you don't hold the OSP accountable, we will not get better results. So we shouldn't be shy. You know, I'm not shy to support Kissi Ejabin. As and when I also feel that we have to put in fire for him to be more transparent in the work, etc. We have to. There's no space for shyness or the fact that I've known Kissi for over 20 years. That means that we shouldn't say anything. He's known Jampo for over 20 years. Okay, they were mates in Lagos, but still he put Jampo on the spot. So it's the same thing. We all this matter of don't shake this table, don't rock the boat. It's not getting us far. No, we have to hold government institutions accountable. So SML is come on. These are arrests. You know, every 2 lawyers are here, ABG and then lawyer
question.
Kwesi will tell you that as for arrests, it's just preliminary. So rather than start celebrating now, we'll wait for the day the case will make it to court. We'll wait for the day the case will make it to court because today is what 28th.
Today is 28th.
28th. You remember the MPA, Mustafa Hamid's MPA. Kissi promised us that by end of the month, the case will be in court. Today is 28th, Saturday. So Sunday, 29th. So we have Monday. Okay. So Kissi Ejabin, gentle reminder. From the way he said it, I thought that by now, it should have, made it to court. But 28th, we still haven't heard anything. Okay. Well, okay, we'll wait till Monday. You see. So let's see. So SML arrest good. But please, we all know, you can arrest somebody and keep him in custody for 100 years. If the case doesn't go to court and if he's not convicted, we haven't done anything against his record. Apart from maybe having incarcerated him, kept him in custody for maybe a few days. So I won't celebrate too much the arrest because the arrest in itself is not a criminal conviction. So I'd rather this will continue to urge OSP to double up and then let's enter court because that is where the real game is and then they would answer. Yes. Okay. Yes. That's what I'll say for
right. Well, and talk about the
Orofo when I semi the judge say yes SML contract no nipa 3 na ye RSC na say ye chi omo no anyo mo nkwa o disi ano OSPS and so the nipa baako 5 ababa count disi 8 a che say nsem na de jamati pebu obi a che na adwam so begin nyina bra o Ghanatube for my review say mobile like no subscribe no share no hit notification bell so am say na be ya abri be drop your content a wo nya ntempa no ahwe no wetia for aha ana mede nsem nyina besi e wo Ghanatube makram nyina medamu nyina.